Well, another important story of the day is that South Africa has officially launched its G20 presidency today. Johannesburg will be the host city come that G20 summit in November next year, with international delegates expected at that summit. Let's speak now to Swanepoel, who is from the civil society group Jozi My Jozi, which is closely monitoring what is going on, not just in the city of Johannesburg, but Gauteng as a whole. Bia, good evening to you, and thank you for your time. Do you think that Johannesburg, along with Tshwane, because that's the co-host city we understand, do you think these two cities will have sorted out the infrastructure problems that are the daily bread right now?
Thank you for the opportunity. I think that if there's a collaboration between the private sector and the public sector, there's definitely no reason why Gauteng will not be ready to host the G20. I think if we look at the partnerships that we have already established as civil society and a representation of private sector, then there's definitely no reason why it can't work. We'll let the private sector and the Gauteng government focus on the bigger infrastructure issues that needs to be resolved, while the rest of us can focus on the smaller issues.
Yeah. Obviously, people in these cities will be hoping to benefit in some form or other. I was just watching a clip from the business desk this afternoon. They're running a clip of a gentleman who is talking about how they plan to host the executive, whether it be people that will be coming from various governments around either the continent or indeed the world. People are essentially preparing for this major summit in order to benefit economically. How do you think these two cities should be helping residents so that they also benefit at a micro level?
I think there's a number of areas where the residents can benefit. One of them is visible safety measures that will have to be in place, meaning that our cities are a safer area for everybody to work in and to live in. And we're also looking at commercial revitalization. So if you own a restaurant, if you have a facility that can host some of the thousands of people that's expected in the country during the course of the year, then there's definitely hope that that a lot of people will benefit economically from the fact that we will be hosting the G20.
Yeah, you will know, Bia, that spaza shops have been a big focus, and that's because of the foodborne illnesses, and sadly there have been deaths as well. We're not attributing it to spaza shops because I don't think the authorities have made that direct link yet. But nonetheless, they have been blamed for what is happening. Talk to us about the bylaws that will probably be strengthened closer to that time, because authorities tend to be very strict around these events. We saw with the World Cup, for example, so many conditions were laid out. Do you think that this is perhaps the time to start those kinds of discussions, particularly for those that will be interested in doing business?
I think bylaw enforcement is definitely an issue that needs to be strengthened. But having said that, the informal sector plays such an important and vital role in the whole economy of the city. So there has to be a way that we can accommodate both, so that the informal sector benefits just as much as the formal sector. So it's just a way of managing it and making sure that it's regulated in a better way, so that we can ensure the safety of all the tourists coming in. But the city has developed their own character at the moment with the informal trade that's going on, but ensuring that it's a safe zone, and that the food, if there's any food included in that process, that it's a safe that it's safe for everybody who consumes it. So it's a fine balance that we need to find between the informal sector and the bylaws enforcement.
Yeah, you talk about a fine balance. I'm thinking the water infrastructure. Water is probably going to be a big talking point going into this festive season. And
Yes.
I won't be surprised, Bia, if communities are angered closer to the time of the summit in November next year, when water issues suddenly disappear, because people will say our government doesn't take us seriously, but let there be visitors in our country, people that they take seriously, then all of these issues disappear overnight. How do you strike that balance?
I think if we sort it out by the end of next year, it will be pure coincidence. There's a lot of focus from the local municipalities as well as from Gauteng province to make sure that the water infrastructure is sorted out as soon as possible. They're not doing that with the aim of having it sorted out for the G20 at the end of next year. It's for the residents itself. And they're willing to participate and collaborate with different partners who can help them to get it sorted as soon as possible. There's a lot of strides that have been made. There's a lot of projects underway. And I think residents needs to appreciate the fact that there is a lot of focus on that. It will take time to sort that out, hopefully as soon as possible and not just in time for the G20. But it is a process. There's a lot of catch-up work that needs to be done. Yeah, it has to be sorted out, both the water issues as well as electricity.
Bia Swanepoel, thank you very much for your time.